Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the 2.0 Grandma Podcast, and my name is Marsha McLean. I am the host. I am also the CEO and founder of Grandma's 2.0. And I just want to say that this show is all about grandmas, for grandmas, and by a grandma. Yes, honey. So it's my pleasure to welcome Miss Vinise Capers this afternoon. Oh my God, Vinise. Let me tell you about this lady. Okay. I'm gonna let her tell you the important stuff, but I just want to give you a little teaser so you know who you're dealing with here. First of all, I think of her as family because her daughter-in-law is my daughter-in-law's sister. Okay?
Yes.
And so because of
Yes.
that, I feel very honored to know her, to be a friend of hers. And I just love her voice. She has this beautiful, distinctive voice. And during COVID, the daddy of these two sisters did a conference call, and it was all about just kind of keeping everybody's spirits up. Well, this young lady did a lot of the talking, and I tell you, I fell in love with her voice. I'm like, wow, she has such a distinctive voice, and I kept thinking she must be a preacher. Anyway, but I'm going to let you decide that for yourself. I want to introduce you to my friend, Miss Vinise Capers. So, Vinise, take it away. Tell us about who you are.
Hello. Well, let me just first say you look beautiful, absolutely amazing. Grandma who? Grandma where? You look amazing, and it's a pleasure, and it's an
Thank
honor
you.
I think I'm going in now. Okay, there I am. It's a pleasure to be invited to partake. Again, my name is Vinise Capers, and some call me Deborah. That is a spiritual name, and I am actually a minister. I am a native New Yorker that now live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a grandma of 6. They call me Mima, ranging from 19 to 1 year old. So I am blessed to be here and to have lived long enough to see that portion of my legacy. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't know you had 6. So you're about to catch up with me because I have 7 now.
Yeah.
Yes,
yes.
yes, I did. I
Six,
didn't know you had 6.
1 year old.
But you've got to tell everybody about those
Yes.
twins. Oh my God. They are the funniest little things ever. Please tell us about your grandchildren, please.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll start with the first one. She's 19 years old and she still climbs in the bed with me anytime she visits, right? And then I have that boy. And then I have a 5-year-old little, she tells me her birthday is coming every month. Meanwhile, she's counting down. I'll be 5. You go to my party. But those twins, so my mother, bless her soul, was a twin. And she lost
Oh,
her twin when she was 3. Yes, my mother was a twin.
oh
And
my
so
God.
when Chantel, who's my daughter-in-law, and Kaishan, who's my son, had twins, they told us they were pregnant with twins. All I can imagine is heaven exploding with joy,
Mm,
because my mother had this. She had this infatuated with twins because she lost her brother so early in their life.
mm,
And so, of course, there's a girl and a boy, and the
mhm.
little girl is feisty and dramatic, and they can't imagine where she gets that
Yes.
from.
Right.
Feisty and dramatic, and the little boy, he's just rough and tumbler. His dad is a football player, now a football coach,
Mhm.
and he came out acting like a football.
Day one, right? Yes.
Yes, and they're just they're a blessing. And then you have the little one, the 1 year old. He just mean mugs everybody. Just
Right. To me, I always tell him, I said, the little old man. He acts like little old man. Because especially compared to those other two,
yeah,
they're funny. Yeah.
yeah. They full of personality and full of joy. And I definitely need to make sure that my back is in place when they come to visit.
Yes. Yes, honey. We were, we talk a lot about, Grandma's 2.0, we talk a lot about physical health. And the
Yeah,
physical health part is making sure you're physically fit for your grandchildren,
yeah.
okay?
Yes. Please do your
Thank you.
exercises, do your Pilates, do something, because
Yes.
they're going to challenge you. They're going to let you know that your needs are not where they used to be.
And you better get it together, Grandma, because we need you to be on the floor. We need you to, if we want to play basketball or football, you got to hike. And oh my God, yeah. got to do all that.
The twin Anaya is her name. Mima, let's dance. Mima, let's dance. Mima.
Right.
So she wants to dance and she wants to flip and I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy. I need to lubricate. It's such a joy. It really is a joy.
There's nothing like it. You know, when my mom used to tell me that, you know, when with my kids, she would say, "Oh, God, these grandkids is nothing like." I was like, "Yeah, you just let them get away with anything." But now I get it. I get the joy that they bring. I get it. And there's no other love like that either in my book. I think that, of course, you love your children, but those grandchildren, they get like a double dose or something. And one of my granddaughters told me, she said, "Grandma, you're my best friend." And I was like, "Oh, that's the sweetest thing anybody's ever said to me." Because they just love you so much. I mean, it's unbeatable. It really is. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
I think they have an appreciation for you. And I share this with my older grandchildren because I have teenage grandchildren. And I share this with my older children when they call me about their parents, which is so cute. I think it's so cute because now I would lick my tongue at my son like, somebody feel the same way about you. You know, but I attempt to be really fair and present a foundation for breaking generational curses. And that's where the lesson to me for having grandchildren are. If you have gone through a process of healing and gone through a process of introspection and reflection, you are privileged now to break curses. You're privileged now to break generational pains and cycles that infringe upon prosperity, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So that's really the gift for me. So I'm very watchful. So I attempt to share with my grandchildren, like, listen, this is the perspective of a parent, and why it's easier that you think to talk to me and why I'm your best friend is because I'm not struggling to raise you and put food on your table. I try to let them understand it's a different dynamic. I get to come in and do the fun part. Right. I get to come in and take care of the excess. When as a parent, you're focusing on everything from A to Z. So, you know, I enjoy that component of it. I really I appreciate
that's beautiful that you look at it from that perspective. That's like a totally different perspective. Yes, you're the grandma, excuse me, you could be the best friend and everything, but I like what you said there, thinking about it from, not interfering, because sometimes that can create all kinds of other problems. Yeah. And that we don't always look at, because some parents, and that's a struggle in this grandparenting role, is that you won't supersede what the parents say, that you have to make sure that the children know first they're your parent. I'm like the second, that down the line. So you got to first listen to them. Okay.
That's
and
right.
They don't always
That's right.
Right. And they don't want to hear that, but that's the truth of the matter. Yeah, you cannot interfere.
And a lot of times, yes, I think a lot of times as grandparents, sometimes we could be a little selfish, and we could fail to realize, we fail to remember the pangs of raising children day to day. And we just want to be their best friend. I want you to like me, so I'm gonna be a little selfish, and here's the cake. I'm not considering the dental bill. I'm not considering the behavior of eating habits that I'm instilling. I'm not considering the things. I'm forcing my children, who I say I love, to fight a battle that I'm creating because I'm resisting you. And I'm not on the same, I'm not getting permission, because I'm your mother. No, we have to break that. Yes. And now we shift that relationship. Tell me how you'd like me to approach this scenario. I'm going to infuse my wisdom, and I'm going to infuse my experience, but I'm not going to override you. Yes. At the end of the day, if I say I love you, I don't make your life harder.
Yep. And that is so critical, because like you say, it really helps. It empowers the parent, which is what it should. And it also puts you have to have a good place with them, Because if you're not in a good place with them, they could just pull the rug out from under you. You can't even see your grandchildren. So you better know that makes a difference.
Look, I threatened mine. I said, listen, I'll find grandparents' rights. Don't you take
Right. Exactly.
I will find grandparents. I
Don't
will go to
play
the
that
Lord.
with me. But it is respectful. And that is the one thing I think that is a difference than I know with mine when I was the parent and my, mother she would always try to pull rank on me, even with my children. And I'm like, hello, you can't do that. These are my children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's another way that today's grandparents or grandmas are different from grandmas of the past. Because in the past, they would just pull rank on you in a minute, honey. And then you better sit your butt down and know that they're in charge. Exactly. And that's not right, Big Mama. Stop it. Right. Stop it. Right.
Big Mama, we love you, but you're going to have to cut that out.
Exactly. Yes.
You're going to have to shift, Big Mama, shift.
Yes. Because, Big Mama thinks she knows everything about everything. So, but anyway, that's so funny. That's so funny. But now let's kind of redirect a little bit. Let's talk about some of the things that you're doing, because as a grandma, it's so important that you be a role model, leave a legacy, all of that. And so I want to hear, and I love to hear what grandmas are doing. I call them grandma gems. What are the things that you're doing that you can leave a legacy that will make an impact on future generations?
Oh my goodness, I love that question. I became a grandma really early because I was a mom really early. And when my granddaughter, when I knew I was having a grandchild, I didn't know I was having a granddaughter. It was upon the precipice of me writing my first book, which is a memoir, Coming Out of the Darkness, There's Hope After the Hurt. And if you can tell by the title, it was a catapult into my journey of very necessary healing. And so while I was still in my 30s, I made a decision to become Big Mama on purpose. I made it my decision to become someone that she could be proud of and to become someone that she can come to and glean from, so that she didn't have to create the pain patterns that I've had in my life. Oftentimes we find that what I see as observant as I am, I still dance with my granddaughter. We have a good time. They know I love to hit the dance floor, but there's some things that she won't for the sake of, even though I might be able to still do it, but she won't catch me doing it for the sake of being sure that she understands that that's not something she needs to replicate.
Right.
So I may shift, right? So it's still sacrificial, even though I'm grandma and I'm the second line of defense for her world or for their world. There's still a sacrificial component in it. So I'm willing to sacrifice still some of my own desires, maybe not to the point where it's delaying happiness, but I may still be able to hit the floor, but I'm not going to hit the floor in front of her.
Right.
Because of where they take that in society nowadays. I want to show her something different. So I'm gonna maintain that elegance and class, the essence of who we are in her presence, so she can mimic that instead.
Yeah, grandma is not gonna be out there. What is it? What do they call it? Dropping it like it's hot?
Yeah, and twerking. Really like. Come on.
Think, oh yeah, grandma can do it, so then it must be good. I can do that too. Right?
And there's a way to do everything, right? There's a way to do something. So I became more. Again, I was a young grandmother, but I became more conscientious of, and I have conversations with her so that my good won't be spoken upon as evil, so she understand, hey, I'm dating, but this is the boundaries for my dating.
Yes. So I love I looked at the titles of the what I like to refer to as this academic term, the body of work, your body of work. And I love that one about coming out of the darkness, there's hope after the hurt. And I want you to share a little bit about that. But I also love the one, Awaken, Reflections of a Grateful Black Woman. I'd love to hear more about that. I think our listeners would too. And then the journal that you did, I thought was really good. The Women of Wisdom and Purpose. I thought that was good too. But the one for me that stood out the most was an anthology. We all have the same daddy, Sisters for Real. Because as women, We need to understand that we are sisters and we do not have to compete and we do not have to hurt each other. We do not have to call each other the B word. We don't have to do that, please. But right now we need to take a little quick break, and then when we come back, please tell me about that. I know
Yeah.
our listeners love that. So please, let's take a break right now.
Okay.
Okay, so the anthology. Oh my God, please. Tell
Yes,
us
yes, yes.
about that. So
Well,
we all have the same daddy, sisters for real.
sisters for real. We were at a young lady's house in Atlanta, a sister friend of mine, and it was restore, relax, and it was another R that was the foundation of why we were there. And it was approximately 7 of us. And as we were there in the presence, the Spirit of the Lord, I am a woman of faith, started to flow and started to speak through me. And as we were sharing just what you said. There's no competition. We are sisters for real if we say we believe in who we say we believe. And if we are whose he said we are stronger siblings than we are for the ones that came from the womb of our mothers and the loins of our fathers. And so we spoke to how sisterhood, or if at all sisterhood, the impact of our experiences that impacted sisterhood, how we approach it, how we see it, how it shifted, what we desire in it. And so we each told our stories about what sisterhood was and why it was that for us, and what we were willing to do to be better sisters for remainder of our days. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was scary because I spearheaded an anthology for the first time, but I think it was necessary. It brought healing. Very short, very brief, but very necessary.
And so what advice would you share with grandmas about that? About how do we become, you're saying, it sounds like you're saying, okay, we all have the same daddy, which is Father God, right? But but do we all know that? How do we get
Yes.
that message out there? And how do we encourage women, and especially grandmas, because we're all about grandmas here, to really live that? That's what I want to know. That
Yes.
to me is the secret. How do we do that?
I think as a grandma, we spoke of the blessing that we have to almost do it again, to impart wisdom, to recreate patterns and shift trajectories of our generations and our legacies. And in order to do that, self-reflection, I'm huge on self-reflection and introspection. And so consider, right? Marsha, you should be able to call me and glean from me without there being a price to it. You should be able to call, I should be able to call you, and as a grandma, listen, I'm struggling with this, or I need help with this, or guess what I learned and guess what I found? Because the truth is, none of us are owners of anything. We're stewards of. And when we recognize that we're stewards of, we recognize freely have we been given, so freely we are to give. So we, the companionship, the love, the grace, and the mercy, and the friendship of God, that's not for us to keep to ourselves, to share.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
like,
for us.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I just like to kind of summarize, because as you were saying that, I was thinking, so it's like one of the things that I always say, too much is given, much is required. So if God has
Yes,
given
ma'am.
us these
Yes, ma'am.
blessings, right, then we have to share those blessings with others. And it's requirement, it's
Yeah.
part of what we should do. I find though that today's folks, women and men, like for example, I was trying to put together a show, and every avenue, every
Mm-hmm.
group that I tried to talk to about space, I mean, I couldn't believe the astronomical fees for these spaces. $4,000, 2,000. I'm like, what? I'm trying to do a show of something that may not have ever been done before. We're talking a show with just grandmas
I
only
love it. Oh,
show, right? And this
yeah,
is for a nonprofit organization, and you're saying you're going to charge me $4,000, right, for some
yeah,
space?
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
just can't
For some
do it.
walls. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I'm like, yes, some chairs and maybe some tables and all that, but whatever happened to the time where we would do things just out of the kindness of our heart? It only will take us 2 or 3 hours out of one day to do this, and we can't do that out of the goodness of our heart. I mean, and I'm not saying that people don't deserve to be paid, but don't you believe in donations? I mean, I give donations all the time to different things.
yes, yes, yes.
Come on. That's
Well,
that's all. But
I
it's a
think we
different
fail.
world, I guess.
We fail in the community. So this is why I love and I celebrate and I redirect anyone that I come across to your page and ask you to share it with me boldly, tag me and everything, because what you are doing is creating a community. And, and you're when you started, you remove the stigma and the restrictions associated with being a grandma. And I thought that was paramount and fantastic and marvelous. And you would think that we could come together and be a community and support that. Hey, what do you have that you can give? But unfortunately, it's not the case. But there's still people like you that's willing to do that.
Yes.
So
Yes. And I believe
it's
those
not
people out there
everybody.
just haven't connected. Yeah. I haven't necessarily
Yeah,
connected with them yet, but I believe they're
yeah,
out there because I do believe that if you, what is it? I think Justice Jackson may have said this: you can believe it, you can achieve it. Okay.
yeah. Yes,
So I
yes,
believe that it will happen. I just got to
yes,
connect with the right people. I'm in search of those people that are willing to help
yeah,
this cause. And I know
yeah,
that they're out there. I may have to look under some rocks,
yeah.
but I
That's all right.
know.
And guess they're looking for you too.
Yes, 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 yes,
They're
yes,
looking for you too. They're looking for collaborative relationships. So
yes,
I'm hoping that you find that really, really soon because I was really
yes,
looking forward to coming out there for that.
yes. And maybe, and here's the other thing. So maybe you and I might even collaborate at some point on something because I want to do it in different areas. I don't want to just do
Okay.
it in Virginia. I'd like to do one in North Carolina, Raleigh, Charlotte, wherever. I'd like to do one in maybe in Richmond.
Yes,
I'd like to do more than one because there's grandmas everywhere, and I believe that,
absolutely.
yeah, and I
I know
believe,
we're freezing a little bit.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
freezing just a little bit. Am I freezing from my end? Because you're freezing just a
Yes,
little bit.
yes, yes. Me too. Both of us.
Oh, okay.
Are both
Am
of
I?
us freezing?
Yeah, we're freezing just a little bit. I don't know. My Wi-Fi
Okay.
is strong.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Let's see. Maybe the engineer can tell us this. There's something going on there. I don't know. But what we'll do, we'll just keep talking, and then if we have to do it again,
Okay.
we'll try to figure that out. Okay. But yeah, so the anthology, I
Okay.
love
Sure.
it.
Absolutely.
And there was one other. So the coming out of darkness, there's hope after the hurt. Please give us some lessons that you learned from that, because I love that title too.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, the title alone is just, it really was a download from heaven. I really believe it. And I believe that title was speaking to me because I had gone through so much darkness in my life.
Mm,
And really, it is a memoir and it speaks to being transparent and objective about your experiences.
and now that's
Understand
hard
and
to do.
identify.
Being
That's very
objective.
challenging. Being
Yeah.
objective. And
Hmm.
what provoked that was obviously the Spirit of the Lord having me to do it. But being in my 30s on a pending divorce at the death of my mother, right after 9/11, in a new state that we know nobody, with 4 children, one with multiple disabilities.
Mm,
And I had no one in the home to blame my behavior on anymore because
hmm,
I was divorced.
hmm,
So what was your problem? And
mm,
what I began to realize, my problem was me.
Mm.
And so now I started to uncover where the problem came from, because if you ask most of us, we're so nice and we're so sweet and we're so kind and we're so
Right. Right. Oh, we
and we're just
right.
sliced bread and everything else in between,
Yes.
right? So
Right.
I wanted to get to know myself. So I just went back based off of memory, and I started to reckon, and I understood that the things that, but I needed to have the conversation with myself about them and to share about them. So I was shared with, acknowledge the hurt, acknowledge the pain.
Mm.
Ignoring it doesn't cause it to go away.
Mm-mm.
You just delay the process for removing and doing taking the tweezer out, that trauma and that pain
Mm.
infuse. You got to get the tweezer out, but you have to identify where it is before you get it out. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So acknowledge that, and then assess the impact of that dart, of that bullet wound, of that hammer throw. Acknowledge the pain and
Mm.
accept it, right? It doesn't make you weak, because if you got hit by a bus, nobody would think you were weak because you went to the ER. But somehow, when we are emotionally or mentally traumatized, we make the determination that we're weak if we go to get help and go to the trauma center for that. So that's what I would say to someone. You can come out of the darkness, that whatever, the divorce, the death, whatever it was that happened, the molestation, whatever it was that transpired, there's a doorway open, but you're going to have to do some work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to first acknowledge that you're in the dark. And I had to acknowledge that I was in the dark, and the darkness was coming out of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I did find joy, and I found literal laughter.
Mm.
Literal joy. I had not laughed from my belly in years,
Mm.
right? I started to laugh again. I started to hope again. I started to believe again. I started to dream again. I started to remember that I loved to write, and that
Mm.
I started to things started to be recreated for me
Mm.
emotionally, because I took the journey to objectively say, I got hit by a bat and that hurt.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no real great memory. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel? How do you think that impacted how you interact today?
Mm.
Do you want to change that? If the answer is yes, let's do the work. That's why
Mm.
I believe that's why I'm a life coach now, because
Right.
let's do the work.
Yes, do the work. Now, is that what the journal is about? Does the journal cover that process?
The journal covers some of the characteristics and traits that I know I learned that I needed along the journey consistently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So determination, compassion, and they were all
Mm.
biblically founded principles. And
Okay.
just speaking to that. So each of the days, the 31 days, has a scripture led principle and a thought, an experience from myself, and then
Mm-hmm.
gives you an opportunity to see where you have infused that in your life. Do you need more of it? How did you implement that? So it gives you an opportunity to reflect, to review, and then to repeat the
Mm.
process
Hmm.
of that
Okay.
principle, right? Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So when you were talking about the coming out of the darkness, I see a journal there. I see a process, a plan, a written something that you
Okay.
can share with people to
Okay.
do. You like you said, do the work, right? So maybe that's your
Yeah.
next publication. But I definitely see that because
Okay.
the way you described it, it's like like you're acknowledging the things that cause the hurt. And then you say you have to do something about it. And the doing something about it is going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like
Right.
magic, right?
No,
But
that's
you
right.
do
Woo.
the work.
No.
Yeah. And so doing the work and having some kind of guidance for people. Oh my gosh.
I love that. Okay, you're gonna get royalties.
All right. All right. You guys heard it first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. You're gonna get some royalties. Yeah, I'm gonna get to work.
But I mean, really, I see that. That would be phenomenal because there's so many people. And I have a friend who says, she's another grandma, she says, hurt people hurt people. If they don't do the work, that's what happens.
Yes.
And I think about the sometimes you can find people that are just so mean spirited. You're like, what happened to her? But something happened to make them act that way. And if they did the work, maybe they wouldn't act that way. So that's what I'm saying. So that is definitely needed, like a workbook kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm getting started. That's the next assignment on my list.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
really incredible.
Thank
Yeah, and
you.
it kind of it guides people through that process. So there you go, life coach. Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah. So now tell me, how can people get in touch with you? We want to make sure we say that. And
Sure.
tell us a little bit about your nonprofit too. I want to make sure that. So before it doesn't matter how what flow you do it. Just give us that information.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you can get to me on Facebook, Vinise Capers, and that's VIN is the spelling of my first and my last name. I'm on Facebook there. I'm on Instagram as well, Vinise Capers, and I'm in LinkedIn also, Vinise Capers. And you can also go to www.vinisecapers.com. I wanted to keep it as consistent as possible. And what I have, and I do have a nonprofit baby, and that's just a long story. It was called A Purse for Her. But because of the level of work, I take care of a son who has multiple disabilities still. So on top of being a grandmother, I'm still a caretaker of one of my own babies, and still working on my visions and my passions full time. I am a minister as well. So I wear a lot of hats, but the Lord gives me strength to do it consistently.
Yes.
But the one that I focus on now is Empowered for Elevation Services, and is based on some key principles that I think are foundational to people growing and being empowered and being strengthened and being healed. And so I work with that as a empowerment coach and a leadership consultant. And so that's what I'm really focused on and doing now, that on top of my ministry. And I work with women basically 30 and older, navigate, negotiate, and nurture the quality relationships that they desire. Oftentimes we maybe grow frustrated in our relationships, grandmas and daughters, sons and daughters, whatever they are. They can be romantic, they can be paternal, but relationships are the foundation to every part of success. As you would, where is the collaborative relationship so I don't have to pay $4,000 to do something for the community? So I notice as a coach, one of the foundational components of it is that people are just frustrated with relationships, lack of healing. They don't know how to negotiate it. They think based off of demanding it, that gets them to have what they want. So I teach people how to negotiate relationships, how to nurture those relationships, and how to navigate them. And those take tools, and they take skills, and it takes transparency and your own reflection. So I love it. I love the work I do. I get off of every call and every workshop and every engagement with just such a zest to do more. So I know it's my purpose.
Yes. And it's a beautiful thing when you find your purpose in life. It really is a beautiful thing. It really, because it's not like work anymore. It's like what you like to do, right?
Yes.
It brings so much joy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And that's what Grandma's 2.0 does for me. It brings me such joy to be able to share what I'm doing, to be able to talk to different grandmas, to be able to find out what they're doing, because I mean, we are doing some incredible things out here. It's amazing. And I feel blessed to be a part of that club, if you will.
Yeah,
I really do. Even though when I first found out, I was a little bit resistant. I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready yet. But
I'm not ready. She's not ready yet.
Grandma, what? And that's because how society sees us. And so again, Grandma's 2.0 is about changing that, dispelling that myth and saying, no, the devil is a lie. We are visible, not invisible.
That's right.
That's right. Yes, honey. I mean, there's so many women, incredible women like yourself, that are just doing all sorts of things. That's amazing. Really, I'm very proud to be part of this. I really do. So
I think so much.
Is there any final words you want to leave with the grandmas today before we sign off?
Remember, you still matter, right? You are not resigned to being a permanent daycare. and you're not resigned to being someone's babysitter, but you have been chosen and blessed to be impartation of wisdom and excellence and integrity in those things that are going to matter long after we take up our beautiful wings to, and go home. So, and your dreams and your purpose does not have to stop.
Ooh.
Pick up those dreams, pick up those visions, recreate that. It's not over for you. So
yes.
It's not over. Joy is still your portion.
Thank you so much, Vinise. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for sharing this with us. I really, really appreciate it. And I know that some grandmas are really going to get their second win because of you. So thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate you so much.
I really love you. Thank you so much. And this is the 2.0 Grandmas podcast. We are signing off, but I'd like to thank my guest, Ms. Vinise Capers, for just giving us and sharing all this wisdom and all these good things that she's working on. And remember, the 2.0 Grandma Show is all about grandmas, for grandmas, and by a grandma. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.